Just want to give you that short one.
So as our normal procedure at all gatherings at Pine Ridge, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First of all, we thank you all for coming tonight on this meeting the candidates get together, and I'm glad that you all parked your arcs outside. We don't have enough room for them in here. I hope we have a few more people, but not to make you candidates nervous, but I'm sure there's hundreds of thousands watching on closed circuit TV. Those people that couldn't make it because of the weather are probably watching on TV. Yeah. You're live, and get that finger out there. I got two commercials before we start. One is those of you that were not at the board meeting last night. You have until tomorrow at the end of business to pick up your packets so it doesn't cost us money to mail them. The annual meeting packets that have the ballots in them, that have the proxy questions and all other pertinent information to the year-end business are in those packets. So we'd appreciate to defray any unnecessary expense that if you haven't picked yours up, we appreciate you pick it up either tonight after the meeting or sometime prior to the end of business tomorrow. The second thing is, obviously, we're going to have an election this year for the first time in 3 years, and I need about 12 to 14 people to participate in the election, counting with the ballots. We devised a pretty nice little system in 2011 that worked pretty well. I was noticing that about 7 people signed up last night. I need about 7 or 8 more, so if you can count and look over figures for about 45 minutes, I'd appreciate you. No, you can't do it. Appreciate your signing up, because we'll have a couple, at least one, if we think necessary. We'll have a second training session to get that committee in place and to count the votes on the evening of the meeting. How we're going to do this tonight is we're going to give each candidate 4 minutes to basically tell us a little bit about themselves and why they will make the greatest board member in the history of Pine Ridge. When we get done, and 4 minutes is a long time, and I just would like to tell the candidates, don't get to 2 minutes and start ad-libbing. If you feel you're done, you're done. And 4 minutes is a lot of time to talk, and I doubt if anybody is going to take it all, but if somebody does, that's fine. But don't feel bad if you're done in 45 seconds or a minute and a half. I mean, present your case. When you're done, just tell me you're done. Don't ask any questions to the candidates until all 5 of them have an opportunity to speak. At the end of that time, then you may ask any question within reason to any candidate up here. So with that, and no further ado, we'll start at the far corner of the table with Carol Cooper.
How is this? Okay. I guess I can speak for all of us in thanking you all for being here to get to know us a little bit better. My name is Carol Cooper, as he said, and I have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. I moved here from Michigan about a year and a half ago, a little bit less, and I bought a villa. And I am guilty of those people who over-improve. I over-improved my villa, but that's only good for property values. And everything that's been done to Pine Ridge to date that I've seen in the last year is all about increasing our property values. And that's a very important thing to me to keep going. So all the things that the board has been doing, the current board, I would like to see continue. They've done a beautiful job. And Eric is a wonderful asset. I hope we can keep you for a long, long time. Also, I'm sure you've all heard that we are keeping our reserves at 100%, which is really a good thing. It looks great to prospective buyers, and it also gives us a nice sense of security. And keeping that up is incredibly important to me. I feel so lucky that I moved here. I moved here as a single woman, And Pine Ridge has not been exclusive to couples in any way, shape, or form. There are so many activities and fun things to do, whether you're married or single. And I have not felt unwelcome at anything. The people here, I think, make Pine Ridge great. I think the board helps, and I think Eric's wonderful, but the people that I have met are wonderful. So I really appreciate the welcome that I've had. I'm involved in volleyball, bocce ball, shuffleboard, golf, and the social club. The social club is a wonderful thing for everyone, and it's not exclusive to couples either. Let's see, if I'm elected, one of the things that I would like to concentrate on is some sort of a welcoming committee, something to make people that come here feel more welcome and feel more knowledgeable. I think we'll have a lot less rule violations if people come up to speed right off the bat. Show them where the mailboxes are, where the recycling bins are, where the garbage places are. Bring them to the pool, show them how to use a pool pass, give them the rules and regulations of the pool, so those things don't come into play later on. I think that would be a really good thing to concentrate on. We could go to the Chamber of Commerce, get city maps, do things like that to make people feel welcome, see what local attractions are around. Let's see, one thing I wanted to say, I've been accused of being too nice to people, of trying to make everybody happy. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing for a board member. I worked for attorneys for 20 years, and I don't ever remember talking to someone who was happy when they called. Ever. So I think someone who has the ability to diffuse a situation, bring things down to an even keel, where you can really start discussing things with some value and some meaning is a good asset. So that's one of the things that I bring to the table. I love being here, and I love meeting all you people, and I would really appreciate your vote, and I will try very hard to do the best thing for the community and for each of us.
Thank you, Carol. Next, we have Larry DeLong.
I'm Lawrence DeLong, and I'm more or less the new guy on the block. We moved in a year ago. I haven't been in a lot of the social events. I still work, although I'm retired. I work part-time. I spent 35 years making color for plastics, paint, and ink, building factories. I lived overseas for 20 years in third world countries. And basically my function was problem solving. I would be the person on the board that's probably the youngest on the board. And what I feel is that the board is going to need people that are going to be here the longest, because the old board and the old board members are the ones that are going to teach the young ones. So eventually you have to put some younger people on so that they can learn the way that the association runs. I've run companies. I've never been on an association board, but I had to learn how to work within companies. I had to learn how to work within foreign people and different systems, and therefore I think that my qualifications give me the asset to be able to learn from the people that are already here and been here and know how the system works here. I feel that that would be my asset to all of you. I have a completely open mind. I'm not within any groups, and I can be molded into the board member that everybody needs. Thank you.
Scott Harris.
Before I get to me, what I was going to tell you, Paul, is sign up for the election committee. It's fun and it's not complicated.
You were the one who complained about it last time you did. All you saw was numbers.
What I say to you, Paul, and the truth can be two different things. My name's Scott Harris. I'm originally from West Virginia. Been a resident for 10 years, and I'm glad I didn't do my index cards because Carol's already said a lot of what I would have said. about the people here. I've lived in a lot of different places in military brat, and when you get to a good place, you really know. Everybody's always been wonderful here. The board is us, and I'm really glad that we have 5 candidates and we actually have an election. It's the most important part to me is that whoever is on the board should feel they have the confidence of the community, because they are us, but they're delegated to make the decisions. And that could be a burden, because sometimes you have to wonder. But if you have the feeling that the community is behind you, and I think the community's been behind this board for some years now, you can do some very good things. Now, I'm not a candidate for change. I got interested in the beginning because I saw what the board was accomplishing. And then I heard that some of them, while they were glad to do it, didn't want to do it forever. So some people were going to have to step up. And so I started asking questions. And the board members and the people on the committees, I've been on the landscape committee and were happy to mentor and to answer questions. And they went to a lot of trouble, and they sent some of us handouts. They did video for us. So that's what I want to carry on. Now, a lot of what they did is visible, like the landscaping, which was neglected for a long time. A lot of it not so visible, like the irrigation system, which could have turned into a real problem because it had been neglected. But what they did do is they went out and they looked for these sorts of things. Another thing that they did that needs to be continued, and a lot of the work has already been done, is the budget. The reserves are back up. Apparently, Tom Donahue's looked around. A lot of other communities are paying a whole lot more and getting a whole lot less. And the object of the game, of the plan, so far as I understand it, is to try to keep any rise in maintenance fees at least down to just inflation, which would be ideal. But that takes prudence, it takes floor planning, and I am a numbers person. Worked all my life in creative fields, but I always ended up getting pushed off into administration and production and management and bookkeeping because I was good at maths. When desktop publishing first came out in the mid-'80s, I thought that was going to save me. But it turned out the real money was in Excel spreadsheets and databases and mail merge. So I was back again. I did finally retire as a writer for a startup company on the internet, now owned by the New York Times. I don't do that anymore, but I advise from time to time. So I looked at it, I looked at what the old board has done, looked at my skill set and moving forward, and I'm pretty sure with the help of everybody that we can keep the ship on course. We can not only keep it afloat, we can keep it painted and fun to be on, and which it has been for the last 2 years. I just really enjoyed it. But I think that if I jumped from 10 years ago when it looked really good to right now, honestly wouldn't recognize the place. It's fabulous, and let's continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Janet Mirando.
As he said, my name is Janet Mirando, and I've been in Fort Myers since January of 1958. I've been a resident of Pine Ridge since August of last year, and I live on Blackberry Drive. And also, I want to give you a little tidbit of information. I would be the oldest person on the board. He'd be the youngest, but I'd be the oldest if I got to be on the board. As you can see from my resume, or the information sheet, I served on the board for about the last 8 months. I filled somebody's position who was either sick or needed to get off the board. My interest in continuing to serve is to help assure that the board continues on the same direction they've been going. Property values have been increasing, which is music to all our ears. We're financially solvent, and this place certainly looks much more attractive than it did a year ago when I moved in. Please read the information sheet. provided to you, and I believe my credentials, particularly my service in finance with the Sheriff's Office, will hopefully convince you that I'm worthy of receiving your vote. And I thank you all.
And Skip Zimmerman.
Good evening. The sign says Howard, but I don't go by that. My wife Nancy and I have been a member of Pine Ridge since 2004, and we reside at 9610 Windsor Club Circle. But I was born, raised, and retired from Kearney, New Jersey. If anyone knows the area up there. I am a classified veteran of the Vietnam era. I served in the U.S. Army as a military policeman and was honorably discharged in 1964. Immediately after discharge, I became a police officer in Kearney, New Jersey. I aspired through the ranks during this career, and I retired as the chief of detectives. In the townwide election, I was elected to be a member of the Kearney Board of Education, where I served as vice president and president for 9 years, managing a $39 million budget. In 2007, I became a member of this board, serving as secretary until I suffered a heart attack and went to retirement. I served 2 years as Social Club president and 3 years as chairman of the Pine Ridge Day. I know with the help of Nancy, the community, and Eric, I'll be a productive member of the board and ask for your support. Thank you.
Okay, now comes the fun part. Have at it. Anybody have any questions for any individual candidate? Anything you want to say? Tom?
First of all, Skip, we don't hold it against you that you're from East. I'd like to ask each member of the board their opinion on one issue, which is paramount to me. This clubhouse is so small, so decrepit, we keep pouring money in, we take out the windows and we put doors in, then we put the windows back, we change the carpet, we change the drapes. The trailer park next door has got a better clubhouse than we have here. So right now, with the interest rates being very low, 3 7/8, you could get a $600,000 loan amortized over 30 years for $2,000 a month. Now we're putting $15,000 into this building with new carpeting and concrete. I'd like each one's opinion on why not build a new clubhouse. We've got enough money in, $2,000-3,000 a month we could handle. And I like everyone's opinion.
Do you know if we have the room to build something like that?
Instead of building, we could put it anywhere. We could tear this one. But there was a plan many years ago to expand it. Could have done it for $125,000. Just moving this back where the storage shed is, and it just fell apart.
Personally, if we could afford it, I would be all for it. But I don't think that we can afford that. That's not up to me to tell that at the time. But yeah, I think updating this clubhouse is a wonderful thing, in any way.
For me, I look at it from a business standpoint, and the position that I'm in today is someone asks, build me a room for 144 square feet. But I don't have the information on what size the walls are. So is it a room 12 by 12, or is it a room 1 by 144? Before I could answer your question, I would have to find out from everybody else and all the committees if it was a possible thing to do. If it's a possible thing to do, Eric has already told us that this building is a representation of our association when people come in here. I've been to other condos when we were searching to buy a place. It is not the sole decision, but on the other hand, a lot of people have put up a big facade and they don't have the money left in their accounts to support the association. So I'm always leaning towards the conservative side, that we have the money in the bank. Buy what you can afford when you can afford it. 600,000 or 400,000 in credit, it just doesn't, for me, doesn't sound like a feasible thing.
Logic play begs a lot of questions, and I think be interested in a committee on it, because these are questions that we'd have to ask. First is, what is the state of this building? What is the condition of the building? I mean, is it in a suitable state? Does it need to be replaced or repaired? What will you use the new building for? I mean,
Same thing you're using this for.
right, but do we need the space? Do we need the new building? I don't even know what kind of shape this building is in. A committee would be ideal to work with Eric and have somebody look at it. It's structurally sound, and $600,000 is a lot of money, and to go into debt. And personally, philosophically, I'm kind of averse to debt. If the budget gets straightened out to the point that we're sure of it, and the surpluses are good, I think we could start looking at treats. It's what I was thinking about the other night. Things like maybe in some area having just exercise machines. People can socialize and exercise, and that kind of thing. Just a treat. Something as large as a cap. I've got artificial hips, and let me tell you, a little bit of exercise helps. I'm practically bionic in other ways. So these are just ideas that would be kicked around. Your ideas is a serious capital expense investment, and we'd have to start from the ground up. That would be my opinion, and that's where we'd start with the committee. And we just have to find out if it's really necessary. And I'd want to go through some deliberate process, because that's $10,000, a bunch of money, and that is another problem. We're coming out of an economic situation where debt was not a good idea. So, yeah, I'd go to committee for that one, and we could bring comment from them.
I'd always be willing to look at anything, but I've had a good bit of experience with contracting things. Not just, I am a state certified residential contractor, and that's nothing like this. But my son is this kind of a contractor. But anyhow, you know, you start on something and you think it's going to be so much, and it turns out to be so much more. I would rather see, if you felt it was absolutely necessary, which to me, you know, maybe I just have not been here when I should have been. But the things that I've been to, there was still room for other people, you know what I mean? But I heard the other day somebody says when the bingo's going to be, people will be sitting out there, and maybe they will. I've never been through that. So I cannot truthfully tell you how I'd feel then. But I'd rather see you extend the building, just extend this building out a little wee bit, than to tackle a brand new building like that. But you know, I'm open to anything, but I would listen, but I'm certainly not a yes person, okay? Thanks.
Well, because you were here last night, it was hard to hear him, but he spoke over the phone, Kennedy, who was one of the members of the board. And he said over the phone for everyone, you know, I could hear what he was saying, but it's not for the board to decide whether they want to build a new building or not. It's the people. The people should decide, and then the president should form a committee and let someone look into it. And if it came back to a vote where it was feasible, I would probably vote with it. If that makes sense.
If it was feasible.
Any other questions? Nobody?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
When I've run for boards previously, in the back of my mind, I always had an objective, something that I personally wanted to accomplish. So my question to each one of you is, what is your objective? You've all told us how wonderful Pine Ridge looks now, but I want to know what the future holds in your perspective. I guess we can start with Carol.
I guess I went over my objectives a little bit. One thing that I want to do is have some sort of a welcoming committee or a screening / welcoming committee where we take a lot better care of our new people so that they're more in the know about what's going on here, what's available to them. If you're talking about beautification, I think doing something with the clubhouse, which they're about to do, is something that's really high on my list. I think the pool is beautiful, and then they walk in and go, oh, it's just outdated. And so I would really like to see the clubhouse brought up to date, one way or another. But I think what they're going to do right now is a great idea.
My objective for running was, we bought a year ago. We bought at $70,000. Now it's worth $80,000. Somebody in management and in the board has been doing something right to make our value go up. So my primary objective is what I originally said, was to learn from what the people have done to continue the trend of making what I own more valuable. I've been to a number of meetings where Eric has been praised for how much money he's saved. Okay? I've also been to a meeting where they said, well, this guy is so good, how are we going to keep him? Well, in business, the way you keep somebody is vested interest. What does Eric get for saving us money?
It's his job. His job comes from working every
But what happens when somebody offers him a better job because he saved us so much money? How do we keep him? That's the kind of things that I know about in business. My employees were probably some of the best paid employees around me. But I could demand anything from them because they couldn't afford to leave. Those types of things is what I bring to the board. But they're not set in stone because this is a different operation. It's a different system. So I need to learn the system. And when I'm here 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years from now, what we own still needs to be going up, not down. So what I offer as an objective is to learn what is being done right and what has been done wrong, and be able to perpetuate that to the next group of people that come onto this board.
My objective would be not to break the good work that's been done. We need to continue it. and maintain it. My objective would also be to follow their example and go out and look for the sorts of things that should have been looked at a long time ago, like the irrigation system, some of the foundations, the tree roots. Hopefully there's not much left out there. My objective would be to keep my eyes on things and to look and to take advice from other people who have problems and to sort these things out before they become serious problems. Future, I'd like to see nice things. One of my pet things is the lake. I love the lake, but the ecology was wrecked in it. One day I'd like to see that restored to a nice balance. I'm from the country. I have a lake and on the property, and it's not like this one. This one's barely getting by, and that would be that's just close to my heart. Another objective would be to learn to listen a lot. As I mentioned before, the board is us, and things like the clubhouse would not even have crossed my mind because it looks fine to me, but there may be problems and stuff like that that we need to look for. And the best way to find them is to listen. So that's about it.
I don't have anything specific in mind, but the main thing was to continue things as they've been going, and I know that the very few short months I've been on the board, a lot of it was summer, and so, that kind of time isn't the most productive for the board, I don't believe. Hopefully it'll be a little more so this year. But I like the fact that committees bring things to the board that people in there think, and I also like the fact that, just like you said about the building, that if somebody likes it, you get up a committee, like you said, and see what you can do about it. And I think anybody that is given something real good that we need would go for it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that, we're all intelligent enough that we know that times are going to go on. And I have nothing special, but I'd sure love to hear ideas and things, see what other people think about other things. And I've heard about the foundations and stuff like that already, and I know they've corrected some. And that's about all I have to tell you.
Well, I think the board that we had this past year before, has been doing a great job. And I've told the president, being a past board member, and he should agree with me, that I've told him he's been doing a great job. But there's always something that comes along that needs doing. You can't say, my sights are on landscaping, and the bottom falls out of landscaping, and you gotta fix the pool. Well, that's where your sights should go. But I feel that, I would just like to continue on doing what they're doing and get it done for everybody here.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree with Lawrence over there about if you got a good guy, you keep him. Now, Paul and Steve, he's doing a good job. They're going to remodel this place, as far as I know. And I agree that tile there is from the kitchen in 1942 or something like that. We don't need to extend the building. You got more than enough room for all these people here. But they all snowbirds are in and out. You don't need a bigger building. So I agree. You want to pay him more. He's doing a hell of a job here. And he just takes the time and he's concerned. Now, I had complained today. He was by my house and they're changing those meters. My air conditioning's out now. How come they didn't say something that you shut off your electricity or your air conditioning? Well, that's all I got to say. Checks is a good thing.
Eric, you were back there shaking your head no, so I guess that means you're not interested in more money. Just busting you.
I was thinking about bringing back flogging for efficiency's sake, but I guess that's probably...
Being doing what?
Flogging.
Well, I went fishing the other day. I caught a mermaid. She was 32 inches, 33 are keepers out.
Anybody else?
The other thing that I can say is I've been here almost 3 years. Since the time that I came in, this place has been improved tremendously. That much. We give credit to the board, we give credit to Eric, and we give credit to ourselves. Okay? We want to maintain that thing. But there's things, like I said, we don't want to spend money, we don't want to do this, we do that. Nobody wants to spend money, but sometimes we have to. We have to improve the place to go to compete with other countries. You know, we have to come up to the 20th century, to the first century. We have to go beyond that. So I know they're talking about money, spending, the club. It's great. I want to see a bigger club. I want to put a pool table in the side. People can have coffee, do something. I want to see if we can extend it that way. Stand up. Whatever each way that you can go to extend it. I know that we have the social club. The social club, sure we have enough room. Maybe not everybody will be here. But when it comes January, February, everybody will be here. So maybe this room be a little tight, elbow tight. So we may need more room. Who wants to stay there behind the wall? Nobody. So we may have to need to stand up. So the only thing that I can say, I want to see this place go better, more beautiful, and keep it up more to what we have. And if we do have to spend the money, okay, but people say, well, I have no money. Let me tell you, the people that go to the casino, the gambling, they lose a lot of money, right? So what is another $10 more a month or $20 more a month to see this, your place, your investment grow? Because it will grow with a better place, you know, and I'm glad what you said. I'll agree to what you said before, that you want to set up that committee, you know, to a welcoming committee, would be great. If you have a new person who's going to buy a condo, why not? Go in with a tray of cookies. 2, 3 people, welcome to the committee, let us take you here, take you there. We're going to thank you for that. I see that. You know, I mean, that is a good way. Because a lot of people, right, seminars, you can hear, well, what is this, what is that? And then you have to ask questions. If I have a problem, who do I have to see? See him. You know, point the finger to where to go. You know, that's a good idea. And like that, I want to see more. Like I said, at one time I was trying to put soft music by the pool, but that was turned down. Okay? Why? Well, some people don't like it, they don't want to spend the money, they don't want to do this. But a lot of places, they do have that. Okay? Any place they go. But I do want it to be improved, this place. This is my place. And this is all your place. You own this. Even if you have renters here, still your place. You're going to control it. And who pays 70, today goes 80. Hey, well, I hope that it goes back to the time when people bought it for 150. Okay, a few years back. Okay, and I'm quite sure that a few years back, whoever paid 150, it wasn't as good as it is there now. And they still did pay 150. So now it should be worth more. Maybe tomorrow it's worth 90. Wow. I just said to the board, to the old board, and the two new coming board, keep the good job going. What you do, okay? Good luck.
Anybody else?
I have one more question, and it's a quick one though.
Good.
I just want to know if each one of the board members, since I don't know all of you, are you permanent residents here year-round?
I am.
I am.
I am.
And I'm seasonal, 7 months a year. Here.
You know, with this, I got one.
Let the man speak.
My numbers tough. You know, with this music, you got a radio, go play your own. That's what makes the world. We're all different. We're the same as be robots, right? There's nobody thinks the same here. So if you want to listen to your radio, put it in your ear. Get an earphone. That's all. You don't have to pipe music. Maybe I don't like that music. Yeah. Well, I ain't gonna dance for you.
Now we get to the nub of the problem. Dan doesn't want to
I
dance.
shaved my legs for this occasion.
Diane,
Yeah, I'm not like the
hold it. They got a lady who wants to ask a question.
I've been here 18 plus years. I know I don't look 55. It's the water, I swear. I've been grandfathered in, and I love living here. I love everybody. We have an amazing community. The board has done a great job. I love everybody. I know a few people here running for the board. They're awesome people. But being a working person, and I know there still are some people over 55 that are working, aren't retired yet, they would like to enjoy the pool after 6 p.m. It closes early. I know it's expensive to do the lighting, but he's so good at saving us money. Is there any way he could, because I'd love to use the hot tub after working hard all day.
You got a bathtub?
6 feet tall, I don't fit in it.
Good question.
Thank you.
Leave your
So
legs at
I
home.
just want to see if you guys can work on that.
Yeah.
Is that a question?
What?
Is that a question?
Well, it's just to have you guys work on it.
Well, I don't know, and I probably should shut up, but I think it's kind of an unfair question to these people because they probably don't know all the history. The history is very, very easy.
Yeah.
To light this pool sufficiently to allow us to keep it open, who's Dean over there? To allow us to keep it open is going to cost in excess of $20,000. The negative side of the $20,000 is to sufficiently light the pool for the county to accept us from an insurance standpoint. The place is going to look like a little league baseball park. The ambiance that people like to use, I remember in the old days when I first lived here, people come down, it'd be twilight, they'd be drinking their wine, eating their cheese. But it was a nice ambiance. But what you have to do in order to even be remotely insured, you're going to have to light this place up where it's going to take all the ambiance away. You're going to probably be overly infested with bugs because of all the lights you have to do. So we kind of said, no, we're not going to go in that direction. Now, if somebody has a better idea, and maybe, Eric, we're deifying you tonight, so the onus may be on you. I don't think it's a fair question for these people, but I think everybody would like to see us be able to have it open till 10 o'clock like it was in the old days. But from an insurance standpoint, from a safety standpoint, we just can't do it. It's just not something that makes sense financially. And really, what the people enjoy from an ambiance standpoint would totally be gone if you had to light it to the level that it would take to insure. Anybody else? I'd like to really, and I said this last night, I think a lot of you at the board meeting, maybe some of you weren't, I really, and I've been concerned for the last 2 or 3 years that we have not had an election, and there's varying opinions of why we haven't, apathy being one of them, but I really want to personally, as a property owner going forward, thank these 5 people for running. I think that I'm glad that it shows an interest in the community. I guess probably the most disappointing thing for me the last 4 years as a board member is I don't think people really understand, number one, the amount of time and effort you put in, and then the other thing is you got to remember board members are nothing more than volunteers. Some people act like they're paying us $100,000 a year, and why aren't we doing this? Why don't we do that? And the expectations at times are a little bit unreasonable. I'd like to see the community going forward we're not going to agree on everything. And I understand that, and I don't expect that. I'd be disappointed if we did. I'd like to see the community. This is one thing that I told the board of directors 3 years ago when I was president. I said, we're going to disagree, but we are going to agree to disagree respectfully. And there's been a lot of personal attacks that I think went over the edge over the last few years, and that are totally unnecessary. You can disagree with everything we've ever done, but please do it respectfully, because I'd really like the community to support this board going forward. And I know I'm personally, and I've already told the people that are coming back, and I'll tell you people that any way that I can help, any way that I can do anything, I'll be more than happy to do it. Tom Donahue standing back there, he's been on the board now for 3 years. I'm sure he feels the same way. And we got a lot of people in this community that do a lot of work behind the scenes. People like Ron Business and Ray Lomican, and there's others that I'm sure I'm overlooking. Those come to mind that have done a magnanimous amount of work for the benefit of all of us. And I can't tell you, this summer when the lake was overflowing, I called Ron up and I kind of looked to him as my resident engineer, and I said, please get involved, because it looks like that our lake, if we get any more rain, it was coming over the banks. And he jumped in his car, he rode down past the school, he got with the county, he's getting ready to file a report for us so that going forward we can get with the county and tell them that they got a little bit of work to do, because they've been a little bit delinquent in some things. But I just like to see us, again, develop more of it. Everything becomes personal in here. It's not about what's being done, it's about who's doing it. And if you like who's doing it, they're doing a good job. If you don't like who's doing it, they stink. Well, that's really not a good environment to create. I mean, you can disagree, but do it with the respect and show some appreciation to not only these people, but the 4 people coming back. Because it may look easy, and it may look like once a month you see them sitting up here at a board meeting, and that's it. There's a lot more to it than that, trust me. Tom.
Larry, I have a couple of questions. One is, you were in an altercation with your neighbor on Blackberry, and the police were involved, and I wonder if you could tell us about that. And then secondly, I think there was a lawsuit involved in a condo association where you and Shannon previously lived, and I wonder if you could also tell us about that. Thank you.
We lived in an association in Michigan, in Sterling Heights. And my wife has a disability, and her doctors recommended that she get a service animal. And the association up there had a no pet policy. Well, what they couldn't understand is that a service animal is not a pet. It is an animal that has been trained to assist a person to make them be able to live a normal life. They began by threatening. They were going to come into our condo and take the dog away from them. We went to the court, and because of the laws in Michigan, we could only file a personal protection order against one person in the board. That was dropped. We felt that it was our right, because we owned a condo, to live there, even though on a daily basis they did things like putting poop on our deck and cutting our tables and calling the police on us when the dog wasn't even barking, and thing after thing after thing. And finally we hired a lawyer and we sued the condo association. And it took 3 years. The last incident that happened in Michigan was that the president of the board caught my wife in the basement. She had a 2x4 in her hand, chased her across the basement into the storage bin, and was screaming the rules at her. And it became so much that we decided we originally were going to be snowbirds. And we had done it for the previous 3 years. And we decided that it's just, Michigan was not a place to stay and be treated like that. And we basically had a $100,000 condo that we sold for $30,000 just to get out. And we came down here and we found out that Florida was a lot more pet friendly. There's a lot of places you can go, even if you don't have a service dog, you can take your dog with you. And my wife's parents live here in Fort Myers, so she gets to spend the time with them while they're still healthy. And that's how we ended up here. The other incident, Shannon was riding around the circle because our dog is a Jack Russell, and you have to run the energy out of it. Otherwise, he'll bounce all over the house. So she came around the corner at Villa and Blackberry, and the gentleman that lives this side of the mailboxes turned his dog loose without a lead, and the dog ran across the street and attacked our dog. She tried to pick our dog up and put him in the basket. She has that basket on the front of the bicycle, and the other dog was actually attached to it. I was just about to leave the complex, and I saw the man come over and grab his dog and go back in the house. And I approached the gentleman, and I asked him if his dog had shots. And he basically informed me it was none of my business. And I asked him why he was angry. And he said in some curse words that because I had asked him. And that, at that point, our only option was to call the police. We normally wouldn't have done that. It's our neighbor. But he didn't want to even respond to the situation. The police came out. He hid in the house the first night and wouldn't respond to the police. And then finally, after 2 or 3 days, they finally caught him in the daytime and they issued him a ticket. And that's the last we've heard of it at this point.
Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Gone. Thank you so much for your attendance, and again, thank you, candidates.
I have to wait. I